Hi, we're live. This is Charlotte Pierce. I'm the producer of Face the Book TV. It's an ongoing podcast and live stream about the independent publishing process. I'm also on the board of Independent Publishers of New England, and I'm here today with one of our presenters for the conference that starts on Friday, the IPNE.org conference. Annual conference. It's our 10th annual, and Mary Catherine Jones is our conference chair. She's also the CEO and founder of Voice Over Vermont, an audio production company for audiobooks and other applications of voice narration. Is that accurate, Mary Catherine?
That's very close.
Okay. Tell me more.
Yes. Usually what I say is that I'm an independent recording studio that focuses exclusively on the spoken word. So I definitely, I work in media, advertising, commercials, e-learning, but I love most especially working with authors and audiobooks.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big audiobook fan. I actually read most of my books that way now. Just because
you know, a lot of the rest of the country. I actually was just looking at some statistics. I think that over the last, I don't know if it's over the last 3 years or 5 years, but audiobook consumption has grown over 49%. It's crazy and wonderful. But more and more people are saying that that's how they are reading their books.
You think that's because we're all multitasking and driving and going places?
Well, actually, what's interesting about that is that I'm a member of the Audio Publishers Association, and so they send out surveys and they give us all this wonderful information. And the hypothesis pre-COVID was that it was because of all the time spent commuting and multitasking and all of that. Right. And so you would think that, okay, in the pandemic when everything shut down, that those numbers might have declined, but instead they increased. So we know it's not driven exclusively by commute time, but I do think it is driven by people's real desire to learn, to listen, to be entertained. And so just in the same way that the consumption of media of all forms, whether it was podcasts or television shows or movies grew, so did audiobooks.
Right. Now you're giving a presentation at the annual conference starting November 5th to the 7th. The IPNE is behind me there. IPNE.org is where you find out more information, but it's called The Writer's Other Voice. And tell me a little bit about what you'll be discussing in that presentation.
Over the last, I would say, 3 or 4 years, it has been my pleasure to work directly with authors who want to narrate their own audiobooks. Most people understand about how to hire a narrator and to get their book narrated under those circumstances. But what I find is a real joy is working with the author who is the narrator for their own audiobook. And there are particular books that are most well suited for this. I would say particularly narrative nonfiction, especially memoir, but poetry is another example of a great way for an author to connect in a different way with their audience using their voice, not just their written voice, but their spoken voice.
Yeah, and you'll go into some of this in the presentation. Are you speaking Saturday?
I'm speaking Saturday at, is it,
I think it's 1 in the afternoon, right?
It may be 1 in the afternoon.
Yeah. Well, anyway, at the website, the schedule is there, and things are moving around a little bit, but not too much. But anyway, I was going to say, there was a question from one of our listeners, what the greatest mistakes you see author narrators making. And I mean, obviously, hiring someone like a production company, it is a good move if you're going to have a professional production. But do you have any thoughts on mistakes that author narrators might be making?
That's actually a tough question for me because when I'm working with the authors, we're working on making sure that their performance is free of mistakes. So I think that maybe the biggest mistake is an opportunity that is lost by making an assumption that they're not suited to narrate their audiobooks, or that their books aren't suitable to be turned into audiobooks. And there's certainly some that are not good candidates for that. But I think that more often than not, particularly with memoir, having the writer actually voice the words is a great opportunity. So so that would be the biggest mistake, is assuming that that's not possible. Whether an author is working with my studio here in Vermont or with another local studio, there's the possibility of making all of that happen, and probably for a lot less than what authors are assuming the cost will be.
Yeah, I just investigated your recommendation for children's books, the Vox
Page Vox. Yeah. Oh, those guys are great.
They were so delightful, and I appreciate that referral. But they did just a little off the cuff audition, and just, I don't know, I just said, could you read my children's book? And they read the whole thing and totally got it. It came alive. It was just so cool. Do you produce a lot of children's books, or do you not do so much of that?
I don't really work with children's books so much, only because that's more in the fiction realm, and I really focus mostly on nonfiction. But I work with narrators all the time, which is how I know Ryan and Aura, and they're fantastic.
Yeah, well, they came from a theater, or they have theater background and training. So, I mean, it's just it was so amazing. I rarely get things so natural when I just read something, and they just kind of intuitively did it. So
they're great to work with for commercials too. That's how I know them.
So putting on your conference chair hat, we anointed you the conference chair. I don't know if you accepted it, but anyway, can you tell us a little bit about what people can expect at the conference in addition to your presentation and stuff?
Oh my gosh, we have so many amazing presenters. That's one of the things that is so exciting for me. When I'm not speaking, I'm going to be listening to all these different folks presenting. Of course, we have Paige Allen, who is representing Ingram Spark. She is their new director, I believe is her title. And she is going to be giving a keynote. She's going to be sitting on a panel with Kevin Byerman, the publisher of Publishers Weekly, and Jane Friedman, marketing expert to many, many book publishers.
Oh, Jane is amazing.
Yes. So just that panel alone is going to be worth the price of admission. And then each of them are so Jane will be giving her own special presentation on Sunday. Kevin will be giving his presentation on an overview of the importance of book reviews and how to get them as part of the conference. We also have book panels that range from the imperatives of pre-publication work to make sure that all your metadata is up.
Bill Schubart.
Yes, with Bill Schubart, who can talk about almost anything.
Really, I know. I was on a panel with him in Vermont a few years ago, and I just got I was taking notes while I was on the panel.
Oh no, he's amazing.
That's cool.
So talking about that, and we have 2 agents that are going to be at the conference. Each of them will be giving their perspective on how best to be reviewed and what not to do. Basically, the biggest mistakes.
So those are the presentations, and then
they
have the author or the agents. Sorry.
Yep. There's a limited number of slots for people to sign up, and I should say publishers or authors to actually pitch to the agents, see if they can get representation. So if any of our listeners out there have a great idea for the next big book, this is the place to be.
It could be that multi-million-dollar advance. Yep. You never know. Yeah. Oh, so that's cool.
Yes.
Well, and there's just a lot of nuts and bolts stuff. There's Publishing 101. There's presentations about the trials and tribulations of the independent author.
Right. And also how to raise funds through Kickstarter. And there's a huge panel. I think it's kicking. I can't probably say the word, but kicking blank on Kickstarter.
On Kickstarter, yes. I am the kind of the token Kickstarter publisher on that. There's a guy he's raised like $250,000 on Kickstarter, but
Yes.
I'm the one who's representing the person who always wanted to do it and never did it until this year.
Well, right. And then you're going to have the best questions to ask too.
Yes, I will. Like, and I know what we did, what we could have done better and what we did right. We did get our illustrations for the new children's book fully funded. So I'm happy about that. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up and get ready?
People should go to ipne.org and they should click on the conference. They should see who is speaking, and then they should get themselves into that conference. And I believe that all the presentations are going to be recorded. Is that correct?
Most of them will be. There might be, the odd presenter who doesn't want to do that, but I think most of them will be. Most people want to do that.
That's wonderful. So even if people can't attend for all of the sessions, they can watch them afterwards.
Excellent. Yeah. And you do need to register, though. It's free for members and $75 for non-members, but you get a 1-year membership with that, with all the benefits that come with IPNE membership. All right. Thank you so much, Mary Catherine.
Thank you so much for asking me on.
I will be tuning in to your presentation on Saturday.
And I'll be popping into yours as well.
Okay, see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.